I'm Ethan, 32, and for 15 years, I lived a lie, believing my mother was a saint, a pillar of our small town, a woman incapable of deceit. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was a fundamental deception that defined my entire existence. The unraveling began innocently enough at her 60th birthday party, held in the old community hall, a place she practically built with her own hands. My younger sister, Sarah, usually so quiet, stumbled upon an old shoebox in the attic. A casual comment about a faded photograph, and everything I thought I knew shattered. How quickly can a lifetime of trust crumble? In minutes, I saw the faded adoption papers, the forged birth certificate, and a stack of letters detailing a desperate, decades-long cover-up. The entire truth, a carefully constructed facade, unraveled in less than an hour, a secret buried deeper than family roots, exploding into our lives. Downstairs, my mother was laughing, blowing out candles, completely unaware that her perfect world was about to ignite. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story resonates with you, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there. Her relentless campaign of guilt began. The texts kept coming, a constant stream of digital pleas. I'm falling apart here. You're the only one who can calm me down. The messages arrived hourly, then every 10 minutes, day and night, a relentless assault on my peace. She switched from texting to voicemails, as if the sound of her voice, laced with manufactured anguish, would somehow break my resolve. When that failed, she pivoted to outright guilt. Everyone's asking questions. Do you know how humiliated I feel? I made one mistake and you're destroying everything. You're punishing me worse than I deserve. She framed herself as the victim, me as the villain for simply walking away. As if betrayal was a quantifiable mistake, measured in percentages. Then the threats started. Some were vague, veiled. I don't know what I'll do if you stay silent. I can't handle this alone. I saved every message, every voicemail. I didn't respond. I simply documented. Then, an abrupt silence. As if she'd finally run out of words, or perhaps, was planning something far worse. 3 days later, I walked into my office, a quiet architectural firm specializing in historical preservation, coffee in hand, my brain on autopilot, ignoring the usual morning chatter at the front desk. I turned the corner toward the hallway that led to my department and stopped dead. It wasn't Seraphina. Seraphina's mother, Eleanor Dubois, was seated in the lobby, her silver hair impeccably coiffed, a designer silk scarf draped over an expensive linen suit, a handbag that probably cost more than my annual salary resting beside her. She looked like she belonged in a high society charity gala, not perched awkwardly in the functional lobby of an office building. Her eyes, sharp and assessing, locked onto mine. She didn't offer a smile. Ethan, she said, her voice cool, modulated. Can we talk somewhere private? I didn't answer. I simply turned and walked toward the back hallway, near the loading dock. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights flickering overhead, mercifully devoid of people. She followed without a word, her heels clicking precisely on the industrial floor. We stopped just outside the freight elevator. She didn't sit. Didn't even lean against the wall, maintaining a rigid posture. Seraphina's a wreck, she stated, her voice tight with controlled concern. I remained silent. She made a mistake. No, I said, my voice low, firm. She made a choice. Then she lied about it. She didn't sleep with him. I don't believe her anymore. She was drunk. It was one stupid night. It was a night she made sure I'd never know about. Eleanor's expression tightened, her tone shifting, sharper now. Perhaps if you'd been a more attentive fiancé, she wouldn't have felt the need to act out. That hit like a sudden, unexpected slap, but I didn't flinch. So, it's my fault now. I'm saying perhaps she felt unloved, ignored. You're cold, Ethan. Withdrawn. You always have been. I laughed, a low, bitter sound. She planned every second of that wedding. I followed her lead from the menu tasting to the floral arrangements. If I was distant, it's because I thought I was with someone I could trust. You two were perfect together, she snapped, her composure cracking slightly. No, I said. She was perfect when I didn't know who she truly was. Eleanor looked around the utilitarian hallway as if she suddenly needed air, her gaze scanning the concrete walls for an escape. You're really going to walk away from everything? From her? From us? There's nothing left to walk from. Her jaw locked, a muscle twitching. You're making a mistake, Ethan, she said, her voice now icy, devoid of any pretense of warmth. And when this all blows over, don't expect her to take you back. I nodded once. Goodbye, ma'am. Then I turned and walked away, not looking back. I blocked her number, but it wasn't the end. 2 days after that, her father, Victor Dubois, came. He didn't ask to come in. He simply waited in the motel parking lot until I walked out for my evening smoke, leaning casually against a gleaming silver luxury SUV, tapping away on his phone. The second he saw me, he pocketed it. You're hard to track down, Ethan, he said, his voice smooth, accustomed to command. I took a drag from my cigarette, said nothing. We need to talk. Pretty sure we don't. He stepped closer, his presence imposing. You embarrassed her. You humiliated our family. People are talking. She did that herself. He narrowed his eyes, a flicker of irritation. We've committed over $300,000, venue, catering, florals, the custom dress, the renowned photographer. Do you even grasp the financial damage you've caused? Oh, I get it, I said coolly, exhaling a plume of smoke. She cheats, and I owe you money. You walked away from a binding agreement. Show me the contract. He didn't like that. I always thought you were a little off, he muttered, his gaze piercing. Quiet, always watching. Eleanor said you had killer eyes. Should have trusted her gut. Killer eyes, I repeated, a faint, humorless smile touching my lips. Nice. She's still willing to forgive you. That's generous of her. He stepped in close, too close, invading my personal space. Listen, son. I don't care how much this hurt your feelings. You either show up and fix this, or you'll be paying us back in court. I flicked the cigarette but at his expensive Italian shoes. Try me. The next morning, Seraphina showed up, though not entirely unannounced. She texted first, a terse message saying she needed 5 minutes, that she was parked outside. I looked out the motel room window. Her white luxury sedan, engine idling, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly I imagined she might snap it in half. I don't know why I went down. Perhaps I wanted to see how far she would fall. I got into the passenger seat. You look like crap, I said, the words blunt, unvarnished. She gave a humorless laugh, a brittle sound. So do you. We sat in silence for a moment, the air thick with unspoken accusation. Her eyeliner was smudged, but she had clearly made an effort to dress up. Her lips were painted a careful, vibrant red, as if this were some twisted version of a date. I miss you, she whispered, her voice barely audible. No, I countered, my gaze fixed on the road ahead. You miss control. She turned to me then, her eyes searching, as if trying to locate some old version of me behind my impassive face. Then she leaned in, her voice low, a conspiratorial whisper. Look. If it'll make things right, you can sleep with someone. I blinked. What? I'm serious, she said, her expression earnest. Just once. Pick whoever you want. I won't be mad. I mean, we're engaged. It should count for something. I don't want this to be the end. You think this is about revenge? I think it's about balance, she said carefully, her words measured. You deserve something, too. After what happened. I stared at her, no emotion in my face, just a profound stillness. You think letting me sleep with someone else erases what you did? I think it's a gesture. No, I said, my voice flat. It's pathetic. Her face twisted, a flash of anger. I'm trying, okay? I'm doing everything I can. To fix your image, I cut in, my voice sharp. Not your character. Don't do that, Ethan, she snapped, her control slipping. Don't sit there all holier than thou, like you haven't ever. I never cheated on you. You're acting like I'm a criminal. No, I said, leaning closer, my voice dropping to a dangerous calm. I'm acting like a man who saw his fiancée tongue wrestling a dancer in front of her friends, and then trying to buy him off with permission to screw around. That's not love. That's damage. Something in her cracked. She hit me, not hard, just a quick, open-palmed slap to my shoulder, then another to my chest. I hate you, she yelled, her voice raw. She shoved me hard enough to rock me against the car door. You're cold, she hissed, her eyes blazing. You're heartless. I looked her in the eyes, calm, unshaken. No. I just finally see you clearly. I opened the door and stepped out. Don't walk away again, she screamed behind me. You're not finished with me. I turned once. You offered me a hall pass like a discount coupon, I said. That's all I need to know about you. Then I walked away, and this time, I didn't look back. But Seraphina didn't vanish after that car conversation. If anything, she doubled down. She started sending voice notes instead of texts, as if hearing her voice, thick with manufactured despair, would somehow crack me open. Always crying. Always repeating the same desperate cycle, please, Ethan, let's talk. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I'll do anything. The next day, she showed up at my job. She was waiting outside the building, a dramatic figure like something out of a 1940s film noir, a tailored coat, oversized sunglasses, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. I stopped cold, then walked directly to her. If you come near me again, I said, my voice low and steady, I'll call the police. Her jaw dropped, a flicker of genuine shock in her eyes. You'd really do that to me? Try me. I turned and walked straight inside, leaving her planted on the sidewalk, watching me. That night, I booked a legal consult. The next morning, I sat across from a lawyer, Mr. Davies, in a quiet office above a bustling Miami tile showroom. He was a man in his 40s, no nonsense, sleeves rolled up, exuding quiet competence. He looked over the messages on my phone, one by one, his expression unreadable. This is more than enough, he said, tapping the screen. She's not leaving you alone. Showing up, blowing up your phone. That's a pattern. She's not dangerous, I said. She's just spiraling. That's enough, he replied, his voice firm. You don't have to wait until she crosses a bigger line. She's already crossed plenty. He tapped his pen against the screen. The stuff at your job is what seals it. Showing up where you work uninvited, that's pressure. It's not okay. I leaned back in the chair, the familiar scent of legal paper and old coffee filling the air. She used to be so calculated. Now it's like she's on fire and trying to drag me in with her. Breakups don't make people lose it, he said, a hint of weariness in his voice. They just show you who already didn't have it together. He drafted everything quickly, walking me through the precise legal language. This won't stop her feelings, he added, but it'll put a wall between them and you. 3 days later, the order was served directly to her by a court officer. No contact, no calls, no messages, no showing up anywhere I was known to be. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. I was grabbing coffee in the office kitchen when I heard the front desk girl's voice, a little too loud, call down the hall. She says she's your fiancée. I walked out. Seraphina was in the lobby. A black blazer, sharp heels, lipstick applied with a battle-ready precision. Her face was tight, her chest rising and falling rapidly, something thick and stapled clutched in her hand. The moment she saw me, she marched forward and threw a stack of legal papers in my face. Pages slapped across my chest and hit the polished floor. "You want a war?" she snapped, her voice tight with suppressed fury. "Fine. Here's your war." I looked down. Du Bois Hospitality Group vs. Ethan Reed, civil filing, $328,000. The same list of wedding expenses I'd heard before, now warm from her hand. "They're suing me." "No, we're suing you," she hissed, stepping closer. "You don't just disappear and humiliate people like this. You left me to clean up the mess." "You made the mess," I said coldly, my voice flat. "I made one mistake. You made 10 after it." She stepped closer, her eyes glittering with a dangerous light. "You think walking away makes you a hero? You're a coward, Ethan. And you're an actor in a role that's not landing." Her jaw clenched, her eyes shimmered, but not with tears. With pure, unadulterated rage. "My parents are respected. I am respected. You think you can just vanish and make us look like trash?" I bent down slowly, deliberately, picked up the scattered papers, and handed them back to her. "You're doing a great job of that on your own." She slapped them out of my hand again, scattering them once more. "I swear to God, if you don't make this right." "What? You'll cry harder. Send another threat. Show up with more emotional damages." She looked around, suddenly realizing that people were watching, eyes on us, some perhaps even filming on their phones. She lowered her voice, a desperate plea. "This doesn't have to get worse, Ethan." I smiled, a thin, cold curve of my lips. "Oh, it's already over." I turned and walked away. She didn't follow this time. Later that afternoon, I dropped the crumpled lawsuit packet on Mr. Davies' desk. "She brought it herself," I said. Threw it in my face in front of my coworkers. He flipped through it calmly, his expression unperturbed. "Venue deposit, catering, floral arrangements," he read aloud. "Makeup, hair trials, photographer, dress." He nodded. "They're embarrassing themselves. They don't have a contract. No prenup, no written agreement on financial responsibility. The emotional damage part is laughable. It'll be tossed before a judge even blinks. So, I don't owe them anything. Not a dime." I leaned back in the chair, a sense of quiet satisfaction settling over me. "Good." He flipped to the last page, a faint smile playing on his lips. "And the cherry on top, emotional damages for abandoning the bride during a committed contract of engagement." I leaned back further in the chair, a bitter amusement rising within me. "They really put that in writing." He nodded. "They think you'll fold. Settle fast to avoid press, embarrassment, gossip. They don't know me." That night, I posted a simple, stark note online. "The wedding is cancelled. There will be no new date. Please respect my privacy." 10 minutes later, I got a voice message from Seraphina's sister, Cassandra. Her voice was thick with venom. "You're breaking her, Ethan. You know that. She's not sleeping. She's not eating. She's going to end up in the damn hospital and you're just standing there watching her bleed." I didn't respond. I didn't even save it. Later that same day, my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Voicemail. Her voice, shaky, thin, barely a whisper. "I'm going to the bridge. If you don't come, it's on you." I drove like a man possessed. My heart, however, was steady. Not out of fear for her life, but because if she really pulled this stunt, there had to be a line in the sand. Once and for all. It was raining when I got there. A cold, needling Miami rain that stung your face. She was standing at the rail of the Venetian Causeway Bridge, arms spread wide, soaked to the bone in that dramatic white trench coat she used to love. "Don't!" I yelled, jogging up, my voice cutting through the wind and rain. She turned slowly, her mascara streaking down her cheeks, strands of wet hair plastered to her neck. Her smile was soft. Too soft. "I knew you'd come." "You don't scare me," I said, my voice firm. "I scare myself," she whispered, a theatrical tremble in her voice. I stepped closer, hands in my pockets, maintaining a deliberate calm. "No panic. Not this time. You don't want to jump, Seraphina." She tilted her head, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. "How do you know?" "Because you wore makeup." She blinked, her lips parting slightly. "What? If this was real, you wouldn't care how you looked. You're here because you want me to come running, cry, beg, hold you." Silence. "You don't want to die, Seraphina," I said, my voice unwavering. "You want to win. I want you to see what you're doing to me." "No," I said. "I want you to see what you did to us." "You could forgive me," she said, her voice shaking, dissolving into a fragile plea. "People get over worse. I'm not people. She took a deep, shuddering breath. "Please, Ethan, just don't leave me like this." "You already left me," I said, the words cutting through the rain. "You betrayed me. You lied. You made everyone lie for you. That's who you are." She slapped me hard, the rain dripping off her fingers, but I didn't move. I turned. This time, I didn't look back. She didn't jump. The courtroom wasn't packed, but the tension made the air feel suffocating. Eleanor and Victor Dubois sat stiffly at the plaintiff's table, polished and unyielding. Eleanor in pearls and impeccable posture, Victor in a tailored suit, a smug look on his face that wouldn't last long. Seraphina wasn't there, of course. She had them fight her battles while she remained hidden, a master of remote manipulation. The hearing moved swiftly at first. The Dubois family's lawyer, a slick, self-assured man, stood and recited their claim like a well-rehearsed script. My clients, the esteemed Dubois Hospitality Group, invested substantial resources toward a formal union that was abruptly abandoned by the defendant, Mr. Ethan Reed. This caused not only significant financial loss but profound emotional distress to Miss Seraphina Dubois and her family. Mr. Davies, my lawyer, stood. "Your Honor, permission to respond directly." The judge, a stern-faced woman in her 50s, nodded. "Go ahead, Mr. Davies." He walked forward, calm, controlled, his presence filling the space. "Let's talk about why this wedding didn't happen, Your Honor," he began, his voice clear and resonant. "Not in theory, but in detail." He dropped a thick binder of printed texts and screenshots onto the table with a solid thud. "These are messages exchanged between Miss Seraphina Dubois and her friends days before and after the bachelorette party." He then reached into his briefcase and pulled out a sealed plastic evidence bag. Inside it, a delicate pair of white lace underwear, sealed and labeled. The judge blinked, adjusting her glasses. A low murmur rippled through the gallery. "These were recovered from a man named Marcus Bell," my lawyer continued, his voice unwavering. "He was the performer at Miss Dubois' bachelorette event. He left the city shortly after but was recently contacted and interviewed." Mr. Davies turned a page in the binder. He provided a sworn statement. "It confirms that Miss Dubois left the venue with him that night, spent the night at his apartment, and left these behind." Gasps. Audible gasps filled the room. Victor Dubois' smug expression vanished, replaced by a ghastly pallor. Eleanor let out a faint, choked sound of embarrassment. The judge leaned forward, her eyes fixed on the plastic bag. "You're saying this came directly from the individual involved?" "Yes, Your Honor," Mr. Davies confirmed. He also stated that Miss Dubois told him, and I quote, "It's my last night as a free woman. Might as well enjoy it." Eleanor's hand clenched on the table, her knuckles white. Victor's face was a mask of disbelief and dawning horror. "Is the plaintiff disputing any of this?" the judge asked, her voice sharp, cutting through the stunned silence. The Dubois attorney stammered, caught completely off guard. "Your Honor, my clients were unaware of these developments." "That's your defense?" the judge snapped, her gaze withering. "Unaware?" She lifted the plastic bag with 2 fingers, clearly disgusted. "This is not how a bride prepares for a marriage. This is not emotional injury. This is a cover-up." She turned her gaze directly on Eleanor and Victor Dubois, her voice cold and authoritative. "You're lucky I'm only dismissing the case." She nodded at me. "Mr. Reed doesn't owe you $1, and your daughter owes him the truth. Maybe what she really needs is a mirror." She slammed the gavel. "Case dismissed with prejudice." Eleanor and Victor left fast. Victor marched ahead, a man trying to outrun humiliation, his tailored suit suddenly looking ill-fitting. Eleanor followed, her heels clicking rapidly behind him, gripping the dismissed court papers in her perfectly manicured hand as if they were a lifeline. But just as they passed through the courthouse hallway, Eleanor snapped. "This is your fault," she hissed at her husband, her voice loud, sharp, no longer pretending to maintain composure. Victor spun around to face her, his face contorted with rage. "Excuse me. You were the one who let her grow up thinking she could lie her way out of anything." "Oh, don't you start with that," he growled, his face reddening. "You're the one who covered for her every time she screwed up." "I didn't cover for her. I protected her. Someone had to, because you were too busy golfing to be a father." The argument exploded in the open hallway, echoing off the marble walls. A court clerk froze behind her desk. A pair of law students stopped mid-step, their textbooks forgotten. People were watching now, openly staring. "She humiliated us." Eleanor barked, her voice shaking with fury. "She disgraced this family." Victor cut her off, pointing a trembling finger toward me. "He didn't disgrace us. She did." Eleanor turned toward me, her eyes burning, her finger outstretched like she was delivering a verdict of her own. "This is what you wanted, isn't it? To ruin her. To make us a circus." "I didn't move. You did that yourselves." Eleanor's lips curled into a sneer. "You're disgusting." I smiled, a slow, deliberate smile. "And you're dismissed." Before she could spit something else, a security guard stepped in. "All right, take it outside, both of you." Victor didn't need to be told twice. He stormed out the front doors. Eleanor stood there for another second, breathing heavily, her eyes still fixed on me as if she believed she could still win with a glare, but the world had stopped listening. Then she turned and followed her husband out. I pushed through the front doors into the cold Miami afternoon air. And there she was, Anya, leaning against the brick column by the steps, arms folded, a loose scarf around her neck, her eyes steady on mine as if she'd been waiting there the whole time. I stopped. "You stayed," I said, a hint of surprise in my voice. "I figured someone should," she replied, her voice calm. I walked down the steps, loosened my tie halfway, exhaled slowly. "That was a circus. You were the only one who didn't look like a clown." I almost smiled. "You saw everything." She nodded. The meltdown, Victor turning gray, Eleanor blaming gravity. "Anne. I'm glad you burned it all down." We stood in silence for a beat. The city moved around us, horns, traffic, life going on. For the first time in months, I felt still. "Want to grab a drink?" she asked. "You look like you need something stronger than coffee." "Honestly," I said, looking at her, "I just want to sit somewhere quiet with someone who doesn't fake cry or throw court papers." She raised an eyebrow, a small, genuine smile finally touching her lips. "That's a weirdly sweet thing to say." I shrugged. "I'm a weird guy now. Anya hesitated, then nodded toward the street. I'm parked around the corner. We'll go to my place. I've got good whiskey and silence. Perfect. We walked side by side. No touching, no rush. Just two people who had been circling each other in a storm and finally stepped out into clear air. I didn't know where it would go, but for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel angry or bitter or broken. I just felt ready. 3 weeks passed. No more texts from Seraphina. No more bridge theatrics. No voice memos, no letters, no random show-ups. She went completely dark. At first, I thought maybe she'd finally moved on. Found someone else to manipulate. Or maybe she'd buried it all under therapy and expensive wine. But silence doesn't always mean peace. It means something's brewing. I didn't ask about her. Didn't search her socials. Didn't care. But the world has a way of delivering news whether you want it or not. It was Anya who told me. We were on her couch one evening, half watching a movie neither of us truly cared about, when her phone lit up with a message. She stared at it for a moment, her expression unreadable, then handed it to me. From my cousin, she said quietly. She still runs in Seraphina's circle, sort of. The message read, Seraphina checked herself in. Psychiatric care facility. Breakdown. Her parents tried to keep it quiet. I read it twice, then set the phone down on the coffee table. No reaction, no smile, no satisfaction. Just a long, slow exhale. She cracked. I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Anya nodded. Apparently, she disappeared for 2 days, left her phone at home. They found her sleeping in her car at a rest stop an hour outside the city. She didn't remember getting there. Is she playing it for sympathy? Anya looked at me, her eyes steady. No, Ethan. This was real. Messy real. Eleanor went silent for days. Victor's been calling lawyers trying to get records scrubbed. And Seraphina, well, I guess she finally ran out of people to lie to. I didn't say anything. After a while, Anya asked, do you feel bad for her? I thought about it, truly considered the question. No, I said quietly. I just feel nothing. That was the part that surprised me the most. Not the breakdown, not the silence, but the sheer weightlessness of it all. She had burned the whole structure to the ground, and in the ashes, there was nothing left for me to mourn. Lessons from this story. Truth and honesty are foundational for any relationship. Setting firm boundaries is crucial when facing manipulation. Self-respect means not tolerating betrayal or deceit. Deceptive and manipulative actions ultimately lead to self-destruction.